From every Sunday between 8 and 9 p.m, anyone from beginners to experts can share photos of any wild or naturalised plants that they have spotted in bloom during the previous week from across Britain and Ireland. We are very fortunate to have a fantastic team at Wildflower Hour, which encompasses a wealth of knowledge and botanical experience. Amongst us are expert botanists and representatives from the BSBI, Plant Life, the Wildflower Society, the Woodland Trust and Nature's Calendar. Wildflower Hour is the brainchild of political journalist and BSBI member Isabel Hardman, who we heard from earlier. It was set up with the express purpose of flooding the internet with wildflowers. From small beginnings in 2015, Isabel invited the BSBI to promote and support the initiative, and now Wildflower Hour regularly trends on Twitter. Typically, around 1,000 tweets are shared between 8 and 9 p.m, but at the height of the season, it can be as many as 2,500. Founder Isabel once said that Wildflower Hour is the gateway drug to serious botany, and I think she's absolutely right. In my opinion, its very genius is that it takes place on a Sunday evening, relaxing or preparing for the busy week ahead, when all of a sudden people's Twitter feeds are filled with a glorious tumble of charming wildflower tweets, complete with their scientific names and clever identification tips. Wildflower Hour is colourful, addictive and joyous. The learning is fun because it is so enjoyable. People's interest is piqued and they want to learn more. In recent months, several series have been created by the team to capture the Wildflower Hour community's interest, from Joshua Stiles' Peculiar Plants to Dr. Richard Bates' Orchid series. The wonderful Nervous Botanist, otherwise known as Moira O'Donnell, created a very special series of identification tips, which has been extremely popular. Known as Dinky Moira's Top Tips, because frankly, we would all love a tiny version of the knowledgeable Moira to fit into our botanising backpacks. So, Wildflower Hour is engaging and hugely interactive, but there is more to it than just sharing pretty pictures. There is also something deeper happening too. Robert Macfarlane said, "We will not save what we do not love, and we rarely love what we cannot name or do not see." The idea behind Wildflower Hour and the weekly challenges is to get people looking and noticing our fabulous wild flora. Looking and noticing is, of course, the first step to naming and then caring and becoming passionate about plants. You can't care and fight for things that you don't know about or notice, and that for me is the driving force behind all that I do for Wildflower Hour. The challenges are carefully planned to be fun and engaging, focusing attention upon different habitats and plant families. During the coldest months, from November to the end of February, the challenge is to find 10 wild plants in bloom for the winter 10. And as we heard from Louise earlier, the high point of the winter is the fabulous New Year plant hunt. From March to the end of September, a new challenge is introduced each week. And this year, the programme began with a collaboration with the Woodland Trust. The Wildflower Hour community was encouraged to look for the first flowering of coltsfoot as part of the Trust Phenology initiative, Nature's Calendar. Excitingly, the Wildflower Hour community was able to contribute directly to this fascinating citizen science project. Records submitted to the Nature's Calendar website go into a phenology database and are used by scientists to investigate the effect that recent weather has on wildlife and how over the longer term, wildlife is responding to climate change across the UK. Wildflower Hour also teamed up with Nature's Calendar for an additional challenge, looking for the first flowering of the ancient woodland indicator, Anemone nemorosa. Both challenges were successful, and the Nature's Calendar team noticed an increase in results submitted, and new recorders were recruited too. An excellent outcome, and both sides are keen to build upon this success next year. This year, of course, has been a very difficult and strange one, dominated by the pandemic. The challenge programme responded to the unfolding situation by setting challenges that could be completed closer to home, and then during the first lockdown, shifting focus to the community's own gardens and the streets outside their homes. We were delighted to team up with the BSBI for the fabulous garden wildflower hunt, which Kevin Walker will be telling you all about next. It was fascinating to see the wildflowers that people found during the lockdown, in many instances hitherto unnoticed, and most excitingly to witness notable finds previously unrecorded. Restricted to local haunts, Gus Routledge discovered not one, but two notable new finds of coral root orchid, and John Dunn a magnificent population of over 300 lesser twayblades. The restrictions coincided with No Mow May, and the Wildflower Hour community were also excited to find orchids and rare plants popping up in unexpected locations, from lawns to verges and even unmown playgrounds. We have received many lovely comments on how the challenges have helped during the lockdown, providing a focus for their daily exercise walk, and how noticing wildflowers has helped to boost well-being during these extraordinarily difficult times. And I'll just read one. Tristan Norton. A highlight of the week, local botany was a lifeline in lockdown, and sharing my own and seeing others' weekly finds with Wildflower Hour was a pleasure, an education and a meaningful purpose. For Wildflower Hour, the absolute highlight of this year has to have been a brief mention on Countryfile. We were thrilled as a team when author and naturalist Bridget Strawbridge Howard very kindly mentioned us as part of her own guest feature. It was wonderful and exciting to see Bridget on the programme conducting her own flower hunt for the Winter 10 Challenge and mentioning Wildflower Hour by name. We gained many new followers on Twitter as a result. So, if you would like to help us in our mission to flood the internet with wildflowers, please do give us a follow and keep us trending by joining in with Wildflower Hour on Sundays. It may seem as though you are just sharing pretty pictures, but of course, you may also be just catching the eye of the next potential budding botanist. And that's the end of my talk. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rebecca. And a call to action for everyone there. If you're not already engaged with Wildflower Hour, that was great.